What do you do when you've tried vegetarianism, you've tried veganism, and none of those things really work for your health? Well, you go paleo. Well, at least that's what Taylor Collins did. Taylor is both a competitive runner and triathlete with many top podium finishes, and is also one of the founders behind the awesome Epic Bars. Let's join him and Alan in the studio now and find out what makes him tick.
Hello, Taylor, and thank you for coming on the Low Carb Paleo Show.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, especially since I've been a big fan of your products for a long time. You and I met at the Paleo FX 2014 in Austin, but I knew your products from already at least about 6 months earlier when I used to work at People's Pharmacy. And from the get-go, I loved your products. So I'm excited to talk to the man behind the Epic world. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Before I got into the food business, I was a physical therapist, and I was practicing in an outpatient orthopedic setting. And my business partner, Katie, and I have been dating for 9 years, a really long time. And she was actually in graduate school, working towards becoming a licensed counselor, like a psychologist. And we both were obsessed with riding bikes and running and doing races. And so it was just this kind of life, all these different variables that were affecting where I am now. But, a lot had to do with being involved in health, nutrition, working with sick people, and then also just the personal passion for, health and wellness and exercise and sports on my own.
From that background, how did you come up with the idea of Epic Bars?
The Epic Bar idea kind of started around a campfire, as most good ideas tend to start. But Katie and I, we went on a 100-mile bike ride, and it was in the middle of the Texas summer, super hot, and we were just honestly sick and tired of eating sugary, sweet products. And so, that particular bike ride, something kind of clicked in my head, and we made 2 pounds of bacon before the ride, and we put it in a little Ziploc bag, and we carried it along, and it was incredible. I mean, that was the only thing we ate the entire day, and it was so refreshing. It just felt so right to put it in our bodies, like this salty, fatty snack. And it was something that no cyclist had really ever thought to do. I mean, everyone was looking at us pretty strange and thought we were totally weirdos, but it was one of the most glorious breakthrough bike rides of my life. And so afterwards we thought, man, we gotta make some kind of portable meat snack that carries well and has the same effect. So that was kind of the idea, the inspiration behind the bars. That was the aha moment.
That's great. You're quite young, actually. I'm impressed. Do you have any background in the food business?
Yes, Katie and I have been in, the food business kind of as a hobby, oddly to say, for 3 years. But we had our first food company was called Thunderbird Energetica. And it was honestly her and I making these plant-based whole food bars for 2 years. And we were having fun doing it. We really had no intention to bring it to market. We just we're being creative and doing innovative, what we felt was innovative ingredient combinations and concepts behind the bars and development and branding. And it was really just a hobby and a passion. And, a month into that company, Whole Foods asked us to launch throughout the Southwest region. So that was a big kind of step that changed it from a hobby to actually a career. Right. And we had done that for a year until we started Epic. But we had always wanted to do this Epic concept, this meat bar, but the timing just wasn't quite right, when we started, and we had to figure out how to do it.
Impressive. And that was right around the time the whole paleo concept started to heat up, right?
Yeah, I mean, timing was pretty surprisingly great. And we love this idea, and we always wanted it to be more of like a whole food bar, like a meat bar that was whole food, low carb, moderate fat, high protein. And it's just really, the timing was unbelievable. The paleo movement grew, and people were becoming more receptive to the idea of eating high quality meat and not so afraid of fats. And so, it was just perfect timing.
Right. Speaking of low carb, would you think your product qualifies as a low carb product?
I think for a conveniently packaged bar, energy bar, protein bar, food bar, absolutely. our bars have 9 to 10 grams of carbs, and so when Katie and I started developing the bars, we actually experimented with a ketogenic diet for 2 months, and we were, eating the bars once or twice a day, and still, measuring our blood ketones, and we were still able to be in ketosis, and so yeah, it works for me.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great. That speaks to Mark's side of the business. He's the low carb guy.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name Epic? I mean, I've seen on the website you play a lot on the Epic word game.
Yeah, the story behind the name was, Katie and I were camping in West Texas, which is like our favorite place in the world. The Big Bend country is amazing, very inspiring. And we had been on this week-long adventure, tons of biking, tons of hiking, pushing our bodies super hard, and we were completely exhausted, sitting around a campfire, and we were kind of talking about that bacon day on the bike and what this product that we envisioned, it didn't exist, and we were trying to say, okay, what if we put this in it? What if we put that in it? And then ultimately, we kind of came up with these wild concepts, and Katie was just by the campfire and just said, that would be epic if we could figure that out. And so that was kind of the basis for the name, and it's stuck since then.
Great. So you pretty much have 2 successful line of product. Did you give up the previous one, or are you still working on that?
We've honestly shifted, as our personal diets have shifted more from like the plant-based whole food side of things to more kind of paleo, low carb, high fat diets. We're not as excited and passionate about the first line that we created, the Thunderbird line. And so, we've actually put about 95% of our efforts now into Epic, and Thunderbird has its own production crew and a team behind it that's continuing to grow that organically. And it has its place in the world, but, we're more excited about what we're doing with Epic right now. So we're definitely driving that.
So tell us about your line of product. I know my favorite, but tell us about the whole line.
The most popular bar is the bison bacon cranberry bar, and it's a grass-fed bison from Colorado, and then the pork that we put in, it comes from Texas. It comes from our friends over at Peterson's Natural Farms, and then we add cranberries to it, and it's pretty simple. It's a really delicious bar. It has a really great mouthfeel. My personal favorite bar is the beef habanero cherry bar, and it's the meatiest bar. It's an organic grass-fed beef, and it has walnuts and cherries and then salt and pepper. So it's a meat bar at its essence. It's not spiced up with any, seasoning blends, but it's just very meaty. And we're actually in the process of redoing that bar, improving it. And so I'm really excited. It's going to launch next month, but we actually kind of changed some of the different beef cuts we were using, and it's a lot fattier now. And it's going to be awesome. Yeah, just wait. It's going to probably be more popular than the bison bar, I think.
There's one problem with it, though. You're talking about it, and I'm hungry.
Yeah. Well, I already know which one of your lineup will be Mark's favorite.
Which
you
is that?
Guess? Oh yeah, I was gonna say mutton. Because that's something Mark would understand. Mutton.
Yeah.
Mutton.
Yeah.
Lamb. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, lamb is Katie and my favorite animal protein right now. We eat it as often as we can, and I think it's super underrated, and it's really accessible to get grass-fed, high-quality lamb. So, we developed this lamb bar, and we had to launch 3 bars to begin with, and the lamb bar didn't make the cut, even though that was Katie and I's favorite one. But we're kind of worried that people would think, oh, mutton, this is weird, and like they wouldn't be excited by it.
Why didn't it make the cut?
Even though the lamb was Katie and I's favorite to begin with, we did some product sampling with friends, and it was kind of a focus group, I guess you could say. And we just found out that people either loved or hated lamb, and it didn't have to do with the bar, but it was almost a preconception of what lamb was, and especially older people, I don't know, maybe you could say like my parents' generation, they associated it with mutton, and they didn't have positive associations with that. And so even though we felt like we created this delicious product that was nutritionally sound and really complex, I still feel like it's our most complex flavor forward
right.
bar. Like you could drink red wine with it if you wanted to.
But the
it
thing with mutton is the older version of lamb. Lamb has a much sweeter, less gamey flavor to it, right?
Correct. Yep. And so we do use lamb. The other hard part to make a lamb bar, I mean, just from a product development standpoint, was we had to find a lamb image to put on the package. And lamb are so stinking cute. We just didn't know. We just didn't know if it was possible because
Right.
who wants to look at this like really cute little creature and be like, I'm gonna eat this lamb.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, you did a great job on the packaging. As a matter of fact, your graphics are fantastic. You made it look like an older lamb instead of a cute and young one, so that people didn't feel bad about eating the, poor little lamb.
Mhm.
That's a very American concept. Anything cute like rabbits or lamb, we should not eat, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, but we do. I mean, we get really excited about our packaging and our design because it's really neat to see, finally when you're in a grocery store and you see a product of an animal sitting on the shelf and it's not an anime like a goofy cartoon kooky mascot animal. It's an actual
Right.
anatomical drawing of an animal. And so I think it really helps people make that connection to what we are selling. And
Right.
it
Right.
does put people in a little bit of an uncomfortable position, but we like that.
No, your kudos to your graphic artist. He or she did a great job. So I was very impressed with the packaging from the beginning. And
Thanks.
can you tell us about the last one on your lineup?
Yes. So then we have the turkey almond cranberry bar, and it's turkey that comes from California right now. And we put almonds and cranberries in it, and then we season it with like a tandoori spice blend. And so it's really good. It's our lowest fat bar, highest protein bar. Just the nature of the turkey meat is a little bit different than the other animals. But it tends to be a little bit more popular with the female audience, and then athletes tend to like that one a lot as well.
Okay, okay. So the turkey, they have to walk all the way from California, or do they fly?
I don't know how they get. I
I
think
don't
they.
know. You don't know?
You don't want to know. They
You,
won't. They
you,
get
sh
here.
They hitchhike.
you should ask them. I know you're very proud of your source of ingredient. Can you expand on that?
Sure. So whenever we source a ruminant, we're gonna source it grass-fed, and for us, grass-fed is a little bit more important than organic if we have to choose between one or the other.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of time doing that. There's a system out there that's created by Whole Foods called the Global Animal Partnership, and where they kind of numerically, objectively rate the quality of the animals and how they're raised. And that's something that a third party assigns. So you can't just make claims that aren't backed because there's actually auditors visiting the facilities. So all of our animal protein sources are approved through that system. And then one of my favorite things that Katie and I get to do is we get to go out to the ranches and we get to hang out and we get to, bother the ranchers, see the animals, just stop by anytime we want, which is really fun. But we definitely get to see the claims we make put into practice, and it's really rewarding.
I'm very impressed with that. As a chef, I tend to pay attention to those issues as well. It's not just I wouldn't want to eat your bar if it was coming from a regular feedlot and all that kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's just another differentiator because Epic is such a innovative, unique product. I mean, we want it to really be authentic all the way through. So, yeah, we didn't want to source low quality animal proteins because you can get that already at the grocery store, like with jerky or canned food. But we wanted to really take it up a level. And so, yeah, grass finish is the way to do that.
I like your background music. You have a little bird in your background making some singing.
Those dang tropical birds.
I
They're
know,
just
I
happy to
know.
be alive.
Can you tell us your bar's benefits compared to other protein bars?
Sure. I mean, for us, we've always been kind of more focused on the ingredient label, and so really, that's what we're most proud of when we encourage people to buy products. We say, don't look at the macronutrients first. I would go to the ingredients, and so that's for me, what I'm most proud of when it's compared to other products. But the other benefits are, our bars have a little bit more fat than most bars, and they're healthy